Empty Eyes by Europe Comics. I have got to check out more Europe Comics because everything I've read for them so far has been really, really good. And this issue is no different. This is freaking amazing, mind blowingly good. So, the story takes place in 1917 during the First World War, and it's somewhere in Europe. And we have a soldier who's walking through the empty trenches. All of his comrades are dead. He's the only one that's still alive at the moment. He's wounded, and he's walking out of the trenches into the woods when all of a sudden he discovers two kids wearing gas masks. And one's a girl, one's a boy. They're brother and sister. The girl's name is Ophelia. The boy's name is Otto. And they basically say, hey, like, if you want to eat, follow us, or you can stay out here and starve to death. So the soldier climbs into a little tiny wagon that they have, and the two kids push and pull the soldier to their home. And their home is an orphanage. And we see another character. His name is Maurice. Maurice is also a child. He is a fat, chubby child, and we will find out why in just a moment. But Ophelia and Otto bring the soldier inside the orphanage. No one's there to greet him but Maurice. And the kids bring the soldier to the table. They tell him to sit down. They're going to bring out some food. Ophelia brings out a tray, puts it in front of the soldier. He lifts it up. He lifts up the lid of the platter and just finds nothing but a pillow. And he's confused. And all of a sudden, Maurice pulls out an axe and lops his head off. And basically, he's saying, this is nice and clean. I'm starting to become an expert at this. So we get the feeling that this is something they've been doing over and over and over again. And he says, Mother, be proud. I'm going to go make some dinner. And he carries the body with him. And I know what you're thinking. And yeah, basically these kids have gone to the point where they're desperate to stay alive. Only these three have survived. The rest of the kids have died from typhoid. We see the living quarters for the children. All the beds are just littered with dead bodies with their eyes gone. Their eyes are missing, just empty eye sockets. And Ophelia's like, I'm going to go wash up. She's basically pretty much dead. Not physically, but just emotionally, mentally. She might as well be one of the kids laying in the bed. Like the war and this situation she's find herself in, where her and her brother have to bring back soldiers for Maurice to kill, has just kind of shattered her mind. She's too stubborn to die, but she's basically already dead inside. And so she's going to go wash up. Meanwhile, Otto goes into this room filled with a bunch of dolls. All the dolls have empty eye sockets. And Otto kind of talks to the dolls for a while. Meanwhile, with Maurice is looking at the decapitated head of the soldier. He plucks out the dead soldier's eyes with a spoon, and then he puts them in the jar. And he puts the jar onto a shelf that's littered with more jars filled with eyes. And all the eyes are labeled. This one is for Polish soldiers. So he has a bunch of eyes from Polish soldiers. And Maurice starts cutting up the body and making dinner. So yes, the kids have had to resort to cannibalism. And so, this is basically a story of three kids. One of them crazy. He talks to his parents and his sister who are dead. One girl who is basically dead to the world, even though she is too stubborn to die. And one boy who is somewhat optimistic but scared. All he wants is Momo. And Momo, we'll find out who Momo is later, but Momo was his only friend. Ophelia tells him that Momo's gone. Momo is dead. Stop asking for Momo. We're not ever going to see him again. And, we just basically get the life of these three kids for a while. We see Maurice just slowly going more and more insane. Like I said, he's talking to his dead relatives. He's having conversations with them. Otto wants to get out of here. Ophelia just wants to survive. We have a point where Maurice orders Ophelia and Otto to go out and collect flowers to pretty up the dinner table so that they can have dinner. And they go and they see a bunch of flowers. And flowers are still growing because they have water, they have light, and they have fertilizer. And the fertilizer are remains of some of the dead bodies, like the parts that the kids don't eat. Like we see one pot just with a human hand stuck in it. So basically we have the dinner scene where Maurice plucks out the soldier's tongue and he's going to eat it. And he scoops up some of the brains and he hands it over to Ophelia. And Otto doesn't want any food. And Maurice basically threatens to kill him. And Otto asks for his sister to help him. And Ophelia just sits there and eats. She doesn't bother to help him. And Maurice is like, see, your sister will let me kill you. Never forget that. Now get out of your sight and let us eat in peace. So Otto goes back into the living room and he finds a doll. And the doll is clutched into one of the hands of the dead orphans. Her name is Simona. And so he collects the doll from her, goes into the room with all the other dolls, and he puts her on the shelf. And he's like, is this what you wanted? Will you let me alone now? Stop. It wasn't me who took them. He's basically yelling at the dolls. That's when Maurice shows up and he's like, who the hell are you talking to? He's like, no one. I'm just looking for Momo. And he's like, Momo's gone forever. Go help your sister and go to bed. And later on, while everyone is sleeping, Otto sneaks out and he climbs down the stairs. He goes into the kitchen. He collects a jar filled with eyes. And then he goes into the room filled with all the dolls. And he starts taking out all the eyes from the jar and putting them inside the dolls' empty sockets. He's like, all right, you all have your eyes back. Will you leave me alone now? And then he leaves. And as he leaves, the dolls come to life. And like, at last, I knew he'd figure it out. He's afraid of us, but he'll get over it. Like, how long has it been? 2 years? 3? And the dolls start walking into the room with all the dead bodies. And they're like, oh, look, they didn't move our bodies. And it turns out that the dolls have the souls of the orphans. Basically, the souls of the orphans got trapped in these dolls. They wanted Otto to give them their eyes back so that they can see. The reason they didn't have their eyes was because Maurice has a thing with eyes. He can't have people staring at him. Maybe because he's disgusted with what he has become and he's too scared to hide it. But anytime he's cutting up a corpse, he plucks out the eyeballs. When it comes to the orphans, when they're dead in the cots, he plucks out their eyeballs and he puts them all in jars and he stashes the jars away so that no one can see him. There's a part later on where Otto stares at Maurice and Maurice freaks out and tells him to stop looking at him. So the next day Maurice orders the 2 kids out to collect more bodies. And they go out, and as they go out, Maurice is like, he's talking to his mom, who's dead. So we have this whole, psycho thing going on. And he basically says, I've done the calculations. I only need 2 more bodies, and then I can kill Otto and Ophelia because I will have enough meat stored for the winter. And so Otto and Ophelia are going out, and they're looking for bodies. All the bodies that they come across are dead and rotting. And they're like, we can't use any of these. We need a live one. If we can't find a live one, let's just find one that's frozen and say, that's still good and say that they died on the way back. But as they're thinking about this, they see a plane crash and the soldier's still alive. And the kids pulled the soldier from the wreckage and they drag him out as the plane explodes into flames. And this is Lieutenant Heiner von Haas. He's like, you 2 will get a medal for saving my life. How can I thank you? Like, oh, you're fighting for our country. That's all the things we need. If you need, food or a place to sleep, we have a place for you. So they lower him back the orphanage. And while they're there, Maurice basically does the same steps that he did earlier, where he's like, come sit down, we're gonna get you food, basically setting up to lop this guy's head off. And as they're doing this, the pilot's like, listen, children, like, I can send help for you. Like, you don't have to be alone anymore. Being here by yourself is too dangerous. I just need a good night's rest, some food, and then I can be back on my way. I can radio in my command post, my headquarters, and I can have people come in and come get you. And Otto is like super excited. He wants this. He wants out of this situation. And he's like begging Ophelia. He's like, please, like, this man, he wants to help. We got to tell him about Maurice. And Ophelia's like, you're forgetting something. We're not Maurice's victims, Otto. We're his accomplices. So Ophelia doesn't say anything. Maurice starts coming up right behind the soldier with an axe when Otto yells, run, he's going to kill and eat you. The soldier turns around to get stabbed by the axe. And then he's still alive, though. He's crawling. He's trying to make his escape. And then Maurice, just with this crazed look in his face, walks over and just starts hacking at this dead soldier. And then he turns to Otto. He's like, you're going to regret that, Otto. You've gone too far this time. Your sister won't save you. So Otto just, at this point, it's like, enough. I either want to die or I want to out of here. Like, I don't want to live this way anymore. So he's like, kill me, but you're going to have to watch me while you're doing it, you coward. And Maurice is like, don't look at me. He's about to swing the axe when Ophelia grabs and says, if you want to kill him, you got to kill me first, and then you'll be left all alone with nothing to eat and no more bodies. So Maurice is like, fine, get out of my sight. And then he goes and he starts lopping up the dead soldier, trying to make a stew. And then, he's like, I just need two more bodies, and that's it. Maybe just one more body, and then I don't have to deal with Otto and Ophelia anymore. And that's when one of the dolls comes to Otto and says, this way. And she leads him to this room where all these dolls are alive, and they're working on these. They're making something, but we don't know what exactly they're making. And he's like, don't you recognize us? And he's like, Sophia? And he's like, yeah. And that's Jan. And that's Simona. And the rest of us, are here. And there's more. And we'll all come join you. He's like, don't you want to see Momo? And Otto gets excited. He's like, he's gone. He's like, no, Momo is with us. Like, come with us. We owe you one. We'll show you where he's at. So the dolls lead him up to the rooftop. And it's a place he's never been to before. He's never been up here. And there he finds Momo. And Momo is a stuffed teddy bear. And, the bear is kind of rotting. It's falling apart. And Otto's like, what happened to him? And the dolls are like, he's been outside for too long. But he just needs a few repairs. Don't worry about him. We'll take care of him. We're never going to leave you alone again. And they wake up the next day, and Maurice realizes, I've done the calculations wrong. I actually pretty much have enough. If I kill Ophelia and Otto, that'll be enough. Like, I didn't put them into the equation, but if I do, I'll have enough food for the winter, so I don't need them anymore. So he goes to try to kill him. When Ophelia hits him in the face with a lantern, and the two start trying to run for it. And that's when these soldiers show up, more of them. And they're looking for their friend. And their friend is the pilot who got shot down. And they walk into the orphanage. They see that, it's just the three kids. They're wondering what's going on. Like, you got to have food here. The kids are like, no. Like, we don't have any food. And the soldier's like, I think you're lying. Because look at you. There's no way that you're starving. You're a chunky one. Show me where the kitchen is. And so Maurice shows him where the kitchen is. And now make us a stew. So Maurice starts making a stew. Soldiers sit down. Soldiers start to eat when all of a sudden they see body parts in their stew. And they're like, go check out the kitchen. And they look into the kitchen and they see not only their friends, but all the other soldiers that these kids were killing. And the soldiers are like, all right, these kids are monsters. It's time to kill them. when Ophelia shoves Maurice into the soldiers, and then she grabs her brother and runs upstairs. Maurice basically blames Ophelia and Otto and says it was all them. They would have killed and eaten me if it wasn't, if I didn't go along with it. Please protect me. And the soldiers are kind of debating about it. They're like, stay here. Don't do anything. I'm going to have one of my soldiers watch over you. The rest of you, go after the girl and the boy. And so Otto and Ophelia rush up to hide. And that's when the dolls show up. And the dolls reveal themselves to Ophelia. And basically says, don't worry, we're going to protect you. And that's where I'm going to end it. Because I don't want to spoil this entire thing. There's more. But whether the dolls save the day, whether Ophelia or Otto make it out, I'll leave for you to find out for yourselves. I will say that, no, actually I'm not. I was going to say how I feel about the ending, but I don't want to spoil anything. I'll just say it's, you can kind of guess the tone of this series. Kind of nihilistic, kind of like everyone, kind of giving up and stuff. And let's just say that the tone carries on to the end. So there's your little hint about what might happen. So yeah, this comic isn't all sunshines and roses, but it's beautifully drawn. Like, I love the artwork. The artwork reminds me very much of it reminds me of maybe like something from Tim Burton, or something kind of like Little Nightmares, even a little bit of like Identity V. It kind of has that little vibe to it. Artwork is beautiful, coloring is beautiful, the story itself is like amazing. Like, I was like, wow, like this is why I got into comic books. I want stuff like this. I want stories that are like emotionally gripping, stuff that like I'm going to remember this story. The story like years from now, I'm going to be like, this isn't forgettable to me. Whereas a lot of comic books nowadays, especially from the West, is kind of like, some of them are good, some of them are bad, but there's no like classics anymore, it feels like. Like, anytime anyone talks about classic arcs or classics, issues, it's always from like decades ago. Nothing really new-ish. But this, like, wow, like, I can't talk enough about how amazing this issue was. And it's a completed story. It's a long story. There's about like 80 pages. So it's a 80-page self-contained nihilistic survival World War I story about two kids just trying to survive in this hellish situation. And it is freaking amazing. I cannot talk enough about this. God, do I want to give this a 10 out of 10? That would be the very first issue I would ever give a 10 out of 10. You know what? Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I've never given anything a 10 out of 10 before, and I'm highly debating on giving this a 10 out of 10. It's that amazing. It's, you know what? Yes. This is going to be the first 10 out of 10 I've ever given anything, but it deserves it. It is that freaking good. Like, I walked away from this and I was like, damn, I gotta just take a break and just digest all this and just take it all in. Because usually, I collect my comics and then I binge read all the ones, that I got for the week, back to back, and then I pick out a couple to do recordings for. But this was like the first one that I read from my list, and I didn't read any other issues until like hours later. I didn't even do a review for this until like right now it's the end of the day, and I read this earlier in the day. Like, it was that, like, I had to take a break and just kind of step away and just kind of digest everything that I read. Yeah, this is perfect. I guess according to my score, like the best thing I've ever read in terms of comics. It was really freaking good. And yeah, I gotta start checking out more stuff from Europe Comics, because I've done reviews, I think, for 2 other series. One was it Vesper? And the other was Urban Tricks or something like that. It was the ones with like the kids who were like sneaking into the ghost house and stuff, and both of those were like really good. But those were they weren't self-contained, and there's been no follow-up. So yeah, I mean they were great stories, but they just kind of left me hanging. Whereas this is self-contained. It's a one shot, and it is an amazing, fantastic one shot. And yeah, I'm gonna end the video here because there's only so much I can gush about this. But check this issue out. Go track it down. Go find it. Go read it. It is freaking amazing. It is the first 10 out of 10 that I've ever given for a comic. Yeah, it's that freaking good. But there you go. There's Empty Eyes from Europe Comics. Highly recommend it. Amazing. Freaking amazing. But yeah, tell me what you think. If you read it, I want to hear your thoughts on it. If you haven't, does this video make you want to go check it out? I hope it did. Like, this issue like should be on your list. Support it. It is great. But yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.